Hello, and a warm welcome to all our cherished viewers, especially those of you who remember when Hollywood truly knew how to tell stories that mattered. If you appreciate authentic tales about the entertainers who defined an era when class, talent, and genuine character were what made stars shine, you found your home. We know many of you have lived through the golden age of entertainment and witnessed these legends firsthand. Your memories and experiences make these stories even more meaningful. If these untold tales of courage, mastery, and respect resonate with your appreciation for when entertainment was both sophisticated and substantial, please consider subscribing to our channel and sharing these stories with others who understand the value of true craftsmanship. Your support helps us preserve and share these remarkable moments from an era when every performance was a testament to dedication and every story had the power to inspire. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Hollywood's most extraordinary untold legacy. The hat came off slowly. Gary Cooper, at 58 years old and universally acknowledged as Hollywood's most authentic Western star, removed his Stetson with the deliberate reverence usually reserved for moments of profound respect or recognition of something that transcended ordinary experience. What had just happened on the Warner Brothers back lot on that September afternoon in 1959 wasn't just an impressive demonstration of marksmanship, it was the moment when Hollywood's most genuine cowboy encountered capabilities that redefined his understanding of what was possible when natural talent met dedication and achieved results that belonged in the realm of legend rather than entertainment. Sammy Davis Jr., at 33 years old, calmly holstered his weapon and looked at Cooper with the expression of someone who had just received the highest possible professional validation from a man whose opinion carried more weight than any award or recognition the entertainment industry could bestow. This is the untold story of the day when America's most authentic Western performer acknowledged that he had witnessed something that exceeded anything he had achieved in 30 years of defining what cinematic cowboy excellence looked like. September 1959 at Warner Brothers represented a unique moment in Hollywood Western filmmaking. The classical Western was reaching its artistic peak, with major studios producing sophisticated frontier narratives that required authentic performances from actors who understood both the psychological and physical demands of convincing cowboy portrayals. Gary Cooper stood at the absolute pinnacle of this tradition. At 58, he had spent 3 decades creating the template for authentic Western performance, from The Virginian through High Noon and countless other films that had established him as the definitive cinematic cowboy. Cooper's approach to Western roles was based on genuine understanding of frontier skills, authentic equipment, and the kind of natural authority that came from someone who could have been a real cowboy if circumstances had placed him in a different era. More importantly, Cooper had developed an almost supernatural ability to recognize authentic Western capabilities in other performers. He could distinguish between actors who learned skills for specific roles and those who possessed genuine competence that transcended theatrical requirements. Which is why he was so intrigued by reports about Sammy Davis Jr.'s presence on the studio lot. Sammy was there for costume fittings and equipment selection for an upcoming Western comedy that would require him to handle firearms convincingly. The role was modest, but studio executives wanted to ensure that Sammy's performance would meet the technical standards that audiences had come to expect from Warner Brothers Western productions. Cooper had been working on his own project in a nearby soundstage when he heard rumors about the young entertainer's unexpected competence with Western equipment. Several crew members had mentioned that Sammy's approach to firearms seemed more substantial than the basic training that most actors received for such roles. "He's not just learning the moves for the camera," one of the prop masters had told Cooper. "He handles that equipment like someone who's been using it for years." Cooper's curiosity was piqued. In his experience, entertainers who crossed over into Western roles usually required extensive coaching to achieve even basic competence with frontier skills. The idea that a nightclub performer might possess genuine capabilities was intriguing enough to warrant investigation. On that September afternoon, Cooper decided to observe Sammy's practice session from a discreet distance. The young entertainer was working with a firearms instructor on a makeshift range that had been set up behind one of the Western sets, running through quick-draw exercises that would be required for his upcoming role. What Cooper witnessed immediately captured his attention. Sammy's weapon handling showed the kind of unconscious competence that Cooper associated with men who had grown up around firearms rather than actors who had learned specific techniques for professional purposes. His stance is natural, Cooper observed to himself. His grip is instinctive. His whole approach suggests someone who's been doing this for a long time. But it was Sammy's speed that truly impressed the veteran Western star. Even from a distance, Cooper could see that Sammy's draw times were exceptional, not just fast enough for movie requirements, but fast enough to compete with professional quick-draw artists and competitive shooters. Cooper moved closer to get a better view of the practice session, positioning himself where he could observe without interfering with the instruction. The firearms coordinator was working Sammy through various scenarios, and Cooper was surprised to see that Sammy was consistently achieving results that exceeded anything the instructor had expected. "Let's try a timed run," the instructor suggested, setting up professional timing equipment. "Standard quick draw, 25-yard target." Cooper watched with professional interest as Sammy took his position. In 3 decades of Western filmmaking, he had observed countless actors attempting quick-draw sequences, and he had developed a trained eye for distinguishing between convincing theatrical performance and genuine capability. What he witnessed redefined his understanding of what was possible from someone with Sammy's background and training. Sammy's draw was executed with devastating speed and precision, 0.20 seconds from command to target impact, with accuracy that would have impressed professional marksmen operating under optimal conditions. But more importantly, the entire sequence was performed with the kind of natural flow that suggested capabilities that went far beyond anything required for entertainment purposes. Cooper stood frozen, trying to process what he had witnessed. In 30 years of working with the best Western performers in Hollywood, he had never seen anything comparable to what Sammy had just accomplished. The firearms instructor was equally impressed. "That's professional-level speed and accuracy," he told Sammy. "You've obviously had serious training." "Some," Sammy replied with characteristic modesty. But Cooper was beginning to understand that what he had witnessed represented something more significant than serious training. Sammy had demonstrated capabilities that belonged in the company of legendary performers rather than contemporary entertainers learning new skills. After the practice session concluded, Cooper approached Sammy with the deliberate gait that had made him famous in dozens of Western films. "Mr. Davis," Cooper said, extending his hand with the respectful formality that he used when meeting fellow professionals. "Gary Cooper." Sammy's expression showed genuine surprise and pleasure at being approached by Hollywood's most respected Western star. "Mr. Cooper, it's an honor to meet you, sir." Cooper's next words carried the weight of 3 decades of experience in distinguishing between authentic and artificial Western performance. "Son," Cooper said, his voice carrying the quiet authority that had made him famous, "I've been watching you practice, and I want you to know that what you just did represents the finest demonstration of quick-draw capability I've ever witnessed." The compliment was delivered with Cooper's characteristic understated sincerity, but its significance was profound. Coming from Gary Cooper, such recognition represented validation that transcended entertainment industry acknowledgement and entered the realm of authentic professional respect. "Thank you, Mr. Cooper," Sammy replied. "That means more than you know." But Cooper wasn't finished with his assessment. His next statement would become legendary among those who witnessed it. "In 30 years of making Western movies," Cooper continued, "I've worked with professional gunfighters, former lawmen, and men who grew up on working ranches. I've seen the best that Hollywood has to offer in terms of authentic Western skills." He paused, looking directly at Sammy with the kind of serious attention that indicated he was making a statement of profound professional significance. "What you just accomplished in 0.20 of a second," Cooper said, "represents capabilities that I've spent my entire career trying to approximate. You didn't just demonstrate impressive skill, you showed me what authentic mastery looks like." The acknowledgement was extraordinary, coming from Gary Cooper. This was a man whose opinion on Western authenticity was considered definitive throughout the entertainment industry, and his recognition of Sammy's capabilities represented validation of the highest possible order. "I don't know where you learned to handle firearms like that," Cooper continued, "but what I just witnessed belongs in the company of the greatest Western performers in history." Sammy was visibly moved by Cooper's words. Recognition from Gary Cooper represented something that no amount of entertainment industry success could provide. Acknowledgement from someone whose own authenticity was beyond question. "Mr. Cooper," Sammy said, "having your respect means more to me than any role or recognition I could receive. Thank you." Cooper's response revealed something about his own approach to recognizing excellence that transcended professional categories. "Son, what I just saw wasn't acting or entertainment, that was authentic capability that happens to be applied in an entertainment context. There's a difference, and it's a difference that matters." The conversation continued for another 20 minutes, with Cooper asking detailed questions about Sammy's training background and development of his remarkable abilities. It became clear that Cooper viewed Sammy not as an entertainer who had learned some Western skills, but as someone who possessed genuine frontier capabilities that happened to be used for entertainment purposes. "You know," Cooper said as their conversation concluded, "I've made a career out of playing authentic cowboys. But watching you work, I'm beginning to think that authentic cowboy skills can exist in forms that I hadn't previously considered." The statement represented a profound acknowledgement from someone who had defined authentic Western performance for an entire generation of moviegoers. As word of Cooper's endorsement spread through the studio, Sammy's status among Western performers was permanently elevated. Cooper's opinion carried such weight that his recognition of Sammy's capabilities immediately changed how other professionals viewed the young entertainer's abilities. "When Gary Cooper tells you that you've shown him what authentic mastery looks like," one veteran Western director observed, "you've achieved something that places you in very exclusive company." The encounter that afternoon was never reported in entertainment magazines or trade publications, but the story spread through Hollywood's professional network, becoming one of those legendary tales that defined how authentic excellence was recognized and acknowledged within the industry. Cooper continued his own Western career with new appreciation for the different forms that authentic capability could take. He had discovered that mastery could emerge from unexpected backgrounds and achieve results that exceeded anything that traditional training could produce. Sammy, for his part, carried Cooper's recognition as one of his most treasured professional achievements. Years later, he would often mention that Gary Cooper's acknowledgement had meant more to him than any award or critical recognition he had received. "When Gary Cooper tells you that you've demonstrated authentic mastery," Sammy would say, "you've received validation that transcends entertainment industry recognition. You've been acknowledged by someone whose own authenticity is legendary." The lesson of that September afternoon went beyond Western filmmaking or entertainment industry politics. It was a reminder that authentic excellence could be recognized by other authentic excellence regardless of background or professional category, and that the highest form of professional respect came from those whose own achievements were beyond question. Gary Cooper's hat had come off in recognition of something that exceeded his own legendary capabilities, and that gesture of respect from Hollywood's most authentic Western star had created a moment that would be remembered long after both men had left the stage. The 0.20 of a second had lasted only an instant, but the respect it earned would last forever. Because when Gary Cooper acknowledges that you've shown him what authentic mastery looks like, you've achieved something that places you among the legends.